The Price of Forgiveness. Introduction. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to English Fluency Mastery. Today, I have another touching life lesson story for you. This story is about love, betrayal, sacrifice, forgiveness, and the true meaning of standing by someone during life's hardest moments. As you listen, pay attention to the simple English words and expressions. This story will help you improve your listening skills while teaching an unforgettable lesson about life and marriage. Before we begin, please subscribe to English Fluency Mastery, turn on the notification bell, and share this story with your friends and family. We upload fascinating stories and English lessons to help you improve your English every day. Now, let's begin today's story. Chapter 4. The Most Painful Decision. The following afternoon, Emiliana sat alone on a bench outside the hospital. She looked exhausted. Dark circles surrounded her eyes, and her face reflected the pain of many sleepless nights. In her trembling hands, she held a stack of unpaid hospital bills, reading the numbers over and over again, hoping they would somehow disappear. But they never did. She had sold almost everything she owned. She had asked family for help. She had begged friends. Yet no one had come to her rescue. For the first time in her life, she felt completely helpless. Just then, the sound of a powerful engine broke the silence. A shiny black luxury car slowly pulled up near the hospital entrance. The driver's door opened, and a tall, well-dressed man stepped out. It was Richard, one of Smith's closest friends, a successful businessman with more wealth than most people could dream of. The moment Emiliana recognized him, hope returned to her heart. She quickly stood and hurried toward him. "Richard, thank God you're here," she said with relief. "Please, I need your help. Smith still needs treatment, but I don't have any money left." Richard looked at her quietly. For several seconds, he said nothing. Then he spoke. "I know everything that has happened." Those words filled Emiliana with hope. "Then please help us," she pleaded. "I'll never forget your kindness." Richard smiled. But there was something unsettling about his smile. It wasn't the smile of someone offering compassion. It was the smile of someone expecting something in return. "I can pay every hospital bill," he said calmly. "Not just the bills. I'll even give you enough money to take care of your children while your husband recovers." Emiliana's eyes filled with tears. You really mean that?" "Yes," Richard answered. Then his voice became quieter. "But I have one condition." Emiliana frowned. "What condition?" Richard stepped closer. His next words stopped her heart. "I want you to spend one night with me." Everything around her seemed to fall silent. She stared at him, unable to believe what she had just heard. "What?" she whispered. Richard's expression never changed. "You heard me," he replied. "If you agree, I'll pay every hospital bill today." Emiliana took several steps backward. Shock quickly turned into anger. "How can you even suggest such a thing?" she cried. "Smith is your friend." Richard simply shrugged. "Think carefully," he said. "If you refuse, your husband may never receive the treatment he needs." He reached into his pocket, removed a business card, and placed it gently into her hand. "When you've made your decision, call me." Without another word, he returned to his car. Moments later, the vehicle disappeared down the road, leaving Emiliana standing alone in stunned silence. She looked down at the card. Every part of her wanted to tear it into pieces. She wanted to throw it away forever. But then, she remembered Smith, lying helplessly in his hospital bed. She remembered Fred, Janet, little Jimmy, 3 innocent children waiting every day for their father to come home. That night, Emiliana knelt beside her bed. With tears streaming down her face, she prayed with all her heart. Lord, please show me another way. Her voice trembled. Please, open a door for us. Don't let this be my only choice. She waited. She hoped. She prayed. But no answer came. The following morning, the hospital called her into the office once again. The news was devastating. Mrs. Emiliana, the administrator said gently, unless part of the outstanding bill is paid immediately, we will have to suspend your husband's treatment. Her heart shattered. Slowly, she walked to the glass window outside Smith's room. He lay peacefully on the hospital bed, breathing weakly, completely unaware of the impossible choice his wife was facing. She rested her hand against the glass. Then she closed her eyes. With trembling hands, she reached into her bag. She took out Richard's business card. Tears rolled silently down her cheeks as she dialed the number. A few hours later, every outstanding hospital bill had been paid. Smith's treatment continued without interruption. As Emiliana walked back through the hospital corridors, she felt as though she had left a part of herself behind. She wasn't celebrating. She wasn't relieved. She carried a burden that words could never fully describe. In her heart, she believed she had sacrificed everything to save the life of the man she still loved. She whispered one final prayer. God, you know why I made this choice. Please have mercy on me and on my family. But some secrets are too heavy to remain hidden forever. And the truth has a way of revealing itself when no one expects it. Will Smith ever learn what Emiliana sacrificed to save his life? And if he does, will he be able to forgive her? Find out in Chapter 5, The Painful Discovery, where Smith finally returns home, but the joy of his recovery is overshadowed by a revelation that changes everything. If you're enjoying this story, don't forget to subscribe and join me for the next chapter. The most heartbreaking part of the journey is still to come. Chapter 5, A Secret Revealed. Several months passed. Little by little, Mr. Smith began to recover. The wounds that had nearly taken his life slowly healed. Each passing day brought new strength. He could sit up on his own, walk short distances, and, for the first time in many months, smile without pain. Then one beautiful morning, the doctor entered his room with good news. A warm smile spread across his face. "Mr. Smith," he said, "your recovery has been remarkable. You're finally well enough to go home." For a moment, Smith could hardly believe what he had heard. He closed his eyes and whispered a prayer of gratitude. Outside the room, Emiliana burst into tears. Not tears of sorrow, but tears of relief. After months of fear, sacrifice, and endless prayers, her husband was finally coming home. When the children heard the news, they could hardly contain their excitement. They cleaned the house. They decorated the living room with handmade welcome signs. And they counted every minute until their father arrived. The moment Smith walked through the front door, Fred ran into his arms. "Daddy!" he shouted with joy. Janet held tightly onto his hand, refusing to let go. Little Jimmy climbed onto his father's lap and wrapped his tiny arms around his neck. "Daddy," he whispered, "I missed you so much." Smith embraced all 3 of his children. His eyes filled with tears. For the first time in many months, his family was together again. He turned toward Emiliana. Their eyes met. "Thank you," he said softly. "You never gave up on me." Emiliana smiled. But behind that smile, she carried a secret too painful to share. Every day, she thanked God that Smith was alive. Yet every night, she wondered the same terrifying question. How much longer can I hide the truth? As the weeks passed, Smith grew stronger. He slowly returned to his business and began taking short walks around the neighborhood. Life seemed to be returning to normal. Or so he believed. Then one morning, something caught his attention. He noticed that Emiliana's stomach looked slightly larger than before. At first, he dismissed the thought. Perhaps he was imagining it. But as the days went by, the change became impossible to ignore. One evening, after the children had fallen asleep, Smith sat quietly across from his wife. The room was silent. Finally, he spoke. "Emiliana." His voice was calm. "Are you pregnant?" Emiliana lowered her eyes. She could no longer hide the truth. Barely above a whisper, she answered, "Yes." The room fell silent. Smith's face lost its color. His heart pounded in his chest. "How?" he asked slowly. "I've been in the hospital for months." Emiliana's hands began to tremble. She knew there was no escaping this moment. Taking a deep breath, she looked into her husband's eyes. Tears rolled down her cheeks. "There's something I've hidden from you," she whispered. Smith's heartbeat quickened. "What are you talking about?" With a breaking voice, Emiliana began telling the story she had carried alone for so many months. She told him about the endless hospital bills, about selling her jewelry, selling the television, selling the furniture. She told him how she had called his relatives, only to be rejected. She called his closest friends, the same friends who had celebrated his success. Yet one after another, they abandoned her when she needed them most. Then she spoke the name she had feared saying aloud. "Richard." Smith's expression hardened. She explained everything. How Richard had offered to pay every hospital bill. How he promised enough money to care for the children. And the terrible price he demanded in return. Her voice shook as she confessed the painful decision she had made. "I hated every moment of it," she cried. "I never stopped loving you. I only wanted you to live. The doctors said your treatment would stop, and I couldn't bear the thought of losing you." She covered her face with her hands. "Please believe me. I did it to save your life." Smith stood completely still. Every word felt like another knife piercing his heart. He couldn't speak. He couldn't think. He didn't know whether to feel grateful, heartbroken, or furious. Slowly, his hands began to shake. Without saying a single word, he stood up, walked to the front door, and stepped outside into the darkness. Behind him, Emiliana collapsed onto the floor. Her quiet sobs echoed through the empty room. She feared that the man she had sacrificed everything to save was now gone forever. The following morning, Smith made a decision. He picked up his phone. One by one, he called every member of his family. "I want everyone at my house this Saturday," he said. "We have a serious family matter to discuss." One after another, they agreed to come. When the final call ended, Smith stood silently beside the window. His heart was overflowing with anger, confusion, pain, and questions that had no easy answers. He believed the family meeting would determine whether his marriage could survive. But what he didn't know was that someone at that gathering would reveal a truth that would change everything. Would Emiliana be condemned? Or would someone finally understand the sacrifice she made? Find out in Chapter 6, where emotions explode, accusations fill the room, and Emiliana stands alone before the people who should have supported her. If you're enjoying this story, Don't forget to subscribe and join me for the next chapter. The story is about to take an unforgettable turn.